Well, let me start the introduction. And I want to welcome you all to being here tonight. I want to thank you for all your support that you've given the Disaster Relief Fund so far, and hopefully future support for Ukraine after you've listened to what we're looking at and what we're planning to do. Elliot has put up the agenda for tonight's meeting, and we're going to try to adhere to this fairly rigidly so we can, as I said, utilize your time wisely. So obviously, welcome. Thank you for being here. We will be going through these different ones, and when they come to that, I'll be doing it. I did want to introduce you to those who have been doing a lot of the work on the relief effort for our district. First one, Roy Balfour has put a lot of time and effort in to corralling a bunch of cats, as they say. He's been doing a great job, and you'll be hearing from him later on in the program. And I don't want to step on everybody's toes on what they're saying, so I'm just going to introduce the people first. The next person, I do want to make sure a great shout out to Diana Nestorova, our immediate past district governor, for help ferrying the grant relief process through RI. A fantastic job. Also, Katja Portnoy from the Rotary Club of Western Wayland for, I have to say, also an amazing amount of time, effort, and truly going beyond what would be expected of someone to help put together what supplies and where they're going. Next, we have Victor Tom, who has helped put together a lot of the videos that have gone out that you may have seen, multiple videos that have gone out. And lastly, in our district, Elliot Rittenberg, who has also put together and helped on the videos and on the technology end of the world. So that being said, let's step into it, and let's get Victor, the connection to Ukraine. Why are we so connected? And it's to you, Victor. Well, what did I say? Victor does an extremely good job and a great job putting these videos together. A really great job. Thank you, Victor. Next, want to get immediate past District Governor Diana in to go over what went into the disaster relief grant.
Thank you, Cliff, and thank you all for coming tonight. I honestly, I am so happy to see so many of you, and the clubs that have been closely involved with this whole process, and some clubs that haven't. And we thought that we have to get together and share our experience so far, and get your pulse, or what your club, what your members of the clubs want to do. So I am very briefly gonna go over what we've done. You do know, all of you know, because you're all Rotarians, that when you go to Rotary.org and you click on that donate button, you would have 4 different options. One of them is Annual Fund, Polio Fund, World Fund, and Disaster Response Fund. Typically, traditionally, historically, the Disaster Response Fund is for those donations that are going to a particular disaster. When I say that, it is not, they are not, it is not targeted to the disaster in, for example, when we had the disaster in Haiti or Syria. It is a pool that we sent our donations in. What the foundation, the Rotary International Foundation, did right after the war started on February 24th, they said between now and 10th of April 30th, all donations to the Disaster Response Fund will go towards needs for Ukraine. So and they will be allocated to those districts that are affected by the war. Ukraine, all the bordering countries, and that's all. So with a vision, and I always want to emphasize on that, that's what Rotary is. Rotary is one person, one idea, one vision, a passion that engulfs all the rest of us, and we continue on. So Katya Portnaya from Western Wayland Rotary Club had these connections with a medical doctor and a transportation mode. And she said, why can't we just, talk with the Rotary Foundation and see whether they can allocate us a grant, a disaster from the Disaster Response Fund, a grant, so we can use our connections for prescription medication to send them over to Ukraine. And what do you know, March 15th, we were on the phone with the grants manager at the Rotary Foundation and explained all we could do. 5 hours later, well, when we talked with her, she said, well, it has never been done in the 100 and, well, my math is not good tonight. I'm trying to figure out how old is the foundation. 105 years, I think, is the foundation. All that, disaster response funds are just for the districts that are very closely affected by a disaster. But obviously, we had a very strong case. 5 hours later, we got the pre-approval for the Disaster Response Fund. And you saw in the video that Victor put so nicely together the pictures that on a week ago, 10 days ago, we actually got the medication. We were in contact with the Rotary clubs in Ukraine, with their district, and they gave us a list of the needed medications, and several Rotarians got together, repacked, pre-packed, labeled, and shipped the medications with the money that was provided to us from the Disaster Response Fund. And you also that, and I have to boast here, you know me, I do. I think we made the history. District 7, 9, 10 made the history in the Rotary Foundation. It has never been done before, and we were given the Disaster Response Fund to ship medication to Ukraine, and you all received an email last week from the Rotary Foundation saying that they reviewed their policy, and now every district on the face of the earth, Rotary district on the face of the earth, can apply for a disaster response fund as long as they provide needed medication or equipment to Ukraine. Thank you.
Well, is it no wonder that the RI Foundation could not help but do what Diana was asking for? She was going to get it no matter what, I think. If she had to be on there for another 5 hours, she would have done it, I'm sure. So we truly appreciate all your hard work on that, Diana, and other stuff.
It is not me. You know what I always say? This is the strength of the team. This is the strength of Rotary. This is the magic of Rotary.
Truly, and you're one of the important cogs in that wheel. I do want to introduce you to Roy Balfour now, who is going to talk about the importance of sharing information with not just Rotarians, but also non-Rotarians. Roy, the mic is yours.
Well, first of all, thank you all for giving some of your time tonight. The point that Cliff is making is not just us Rotarians that are in this screen or in this district. I'll give you a little story if you don't already know it. Is we had a conversation about Ukraine at the Rotary Club of Bedford, and we talked about what the need was and how Rotary was engaging in the process of providing the aid. And one of the Rotarians from that meeting went home and told his neighbor and about what Rotary was doing. And 2 days later, we received a check for $100,000. And that is an example of being able to share what Rotary is doing with people who are not Rotarians. It can touch their hearts and show them a way to be able to help people in Ukraine in a very productive way. This organization, this foundation, provided the money very quickly, and we all appreciate that effort. But this is a story to share with your neighbors. In my 33 years in Rotary, I've never seen anything that has touched everybody's hearts as much as this one has, and the ability to talk to non-Rotarians about what Rotary does. So the byproduct of that is A, donations, and B, it shares with them the importance of the things that you're doing. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thanks, Roy. And you know, that is a very large donation and truly appreciated. However, we also do want to talk about what different clubs have been doing to do donation efforts. And with that, I'm going to bring up Elliot Rittenberg, District Governor nominee, to talk with some of the clubs.
Wait. I just noticed somebody who's on the screen. The individual Rotarian who drove that conversation is on the screen. His name is Jim Harrell, and I want everybody to give him an applaud. That was great, great work, Jim. Thank you.
Just happened to be in the right place at the right time and felt moved.
And it was a nice thing for you to talk to your neighbor, Jim. And as we said, it's that personal connection that everybody has that helps Rotary go. Now I'm going to push it off to you, Elliot, and talk with different clubs that have been doing some fundraising efforts.
Thank you, Cliff. With that $100,000 donation was wonderful. What is it? Opportunity knocks to those who are prepared or something like that. So thank you, Jim. I was going to share a slide, but I think I'll just speak to it. And really what I want to do is have a couple of our members tell their stories. But one of the great things about what we do is we get to talk to all of the clubs and learn about what they're doing. And every time I have that opportunity, I'm constantly impressed and amazed. Just a quick summary of what some of our clubs are doing. What we hope to do in the fullness of time is to have input from as many of our clubs as possible so that we can quantify and measure our impact. We really do want to see if we can understand what our clubs have done, how much has been donated, and we know that will take some time. But just a couple of examples. Bedford voted to do a 1-to-1 match per member in their club up to $500. And I learned today that 13 members have donated, which the club is matching. Southborough, there's a small club that was thinking out of the box. They sent a group of people to the town transfer station to collect donations from residents in town, and ended up through that effort and some other things they did, donating $4,750 to the Disaster Response Fund. The Sturbridge Club voted to make a $5,000 donation, and we'll hear the story behind that from Klaus. Westboro made a donation. Shrewsbury is having a fundraiser on the 27th, on April 27th, at the Manor Restaurant in West Boylston. And I could go on, there's lots of others, but the idea is that all of our clubs are doing something, all of them are acting, they're all doing different things, and everything that they're doing is worthwhile. So what I'd like to do now is ask a couple of our members to talk about what they did in their clubs and how they came to making their donations. And if I could, I'd like to start with Donna Armamento from Wellesley. So Donna, can you take it?
Hi, everyone. Donna Armentano from the Rotary Club of Wellesley. And so we donated $3,000 to the district for the Ukraine Relief Fund. And coming up in May, there's the Wellesley Wonderful Weekend. And as part of that, we're actually having a pooch parade. And the idea there is that the money that we raise will go to the International Fund for Animal Welfare to help our furry friends that are being affected by the war in Ukraine. So those are just two of the things that we're doing to help the effort in Ukraine.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Don. And my apologies for butchering your name in the beginning.
It's okay, everyone does.
Thank you. Next, we'd like to hear from Klaus Hatchfield from Southbridge. Klaus has a real interesting story that draws some parallels in history. So Klaus, if you would take it away. Thank you.
Absolutely. By the way, I've swapped clubs. I'm the president of the Sturbridge Rotary Club.
I'm sorry, my mistake.
No problem. The Ukraine situation is something that really drove a very strong parallel in my life that I really wanted to bring to our club. And this really started with me having a club assembly and then starting to talk what had happened to me, and subsequently following what I told them, I created a PowerPoint presentation that I've now delivered at the Brookfield Club as well. But here's what it really is. I was born in 1944 and lived in Berlin during World War II. I lived there. The Russians came in 1945 and basically destroyed large parts of the city, including pretty close to where I was. Turns out that just about 4 years ago, Glenys, my wife, and I, we went and visited for the first time and actually looked at exactly where I lived. And to my surprise, I lived just within 2 miles of the Reichstag, which is the government building that, when it was finally taken by the Russians, ended the World War II in Europe. Subsequent to that, the Russian army chose to go and loot. My mother told many a time the stories, you know, and as a kid, you sort of turn a deaf ear, and eventually you realize what the situation really is once you're an adult. But the situation was that, you know, the jewelry, watches, stuff was looted generally. But worse than that, they also rounded up men. Turns out my father was too old to fight in World War II, but he was taken along with a lot of other men who were then taken off by train, headed east, and were never seen alive again. So I lost my father at the age of 1. I continued to live in Berlin for another 3 years. I eventually left at the age of 4. And that meant that I was actually right there in the very heart of it, literally 1.5 miles from the airport that the American and British airlift brought the food to us, brought the International Red Cross and their tent hospitals. Benefited from that when I was in the hospital for a week as a kid. You know, coal, food, medicines, clothes, all of that was needed because the Russians continued to try to basically starve the population into submission. I have to tell you that I'm utterly convinced I would not be here today if it hadn't been for the American and British airlift, which was phenomenal. I mean, when you go and look up the statistics on that, there's an actual book written that I have on that. At the height of the airlift, there were 30 flights. Sorry, there was a flight every 30 seconds coming into the local airport that was close to, bringing all the needed items. So I think, you know, my story really is one where I say, A, I'm very grateful to be alive. I see an enormous, obvious parallel between what they did in Russia versus what's happening in Ukraine. And I think there's maybe some value to somebody like me standing up and saying, this isn't the first time this has happened. This is something that Russia has got a history of doing, and the consequences are awful. So the obvious message is, for me, absolutely, the relief that came through the airlift what made the difference. So the message to Rotarians clearly has to be, do what you can. And in our club there at that club assembly, we had a discussion, how much should the club give, knowing that we would individually also be contributing, and that indeed has happened. So, you know, our club has contributed substantially, and I keep track of all of that. But the bottom line really is, I think there's nothing quite like having a personal accounting of what goes on to realize this. Obviously, we realize it's for real, but you know, it's a miserable time for everybody there. So let's see what we can do to help.
Thank you, Klaus, for bringing a personal aspect to the story, and clearly history does repeat itself. So appreciate your insights. Our final presenter on what's been happening in clubs with the Ukraine support is John Marchione. He's the immediate past president from the Weston Wayland Club. John?
Cool. Thank you so much, Elliot. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to get very tactical. Can you see our website? Is that what you can see? Okay. So like everybody else, we're appalled by what's happening in Ukraine, and we wanted to be people of action, right? Rotarians. So we started by seeking out information. Roy Balfour of the Shrewsbury Club, who's also my co-chair with Rotary at Work, started talking, right? And you know Roy, he started talking. He also invited Yuri Volvach from the Rotary Club in Kiev to Zoom in with us for Rotary at Work. And then Roy came to our club and gave a talk that he's given to a bunch of other clubs as well. He and Katya started talking and getting a lot of stuff moving. And then we chose very intentionally to follow passionate, well-informed leaders and fill in with the resources and expertise wherever we could. So we're following Katya and Diana, who've been as tireless and committed as they are smart and resourceful, right? So what I want to now say is that you and your club can do that too. We don't have any particular expertise, but we got people who are working hard. So what did we do? We added logistical support to that first shipment that went out. That was printing, design, sourcing, and pretty much anything Katya said we needed was what we worked to deliver. Then we started doing public image work to focus our messaging on the precise goal of providing medical supplies, equipment, and medicines that were identified by doctors in Ukraine and Poland. And so now this is our homepage, which has now been updated a number of times, but I'll scroll down a little bit. We've got a homepage story that's dedicated to the Ukraine Relief Fund. We've got a one-page flyer that we've now updated, and we want to make it really easy for people to donate. So you've seen several donate now buttons. In the course of the last day, we also added this banner about Rotary's efficiency in giving. And then we also put in this widget up here in the upper left that will bring you to our dedicated page on our website that's all about, the Ukraine support. This is just an image I pulled off the Rotary.org website. And then again, this is very similar information that you saw on our website. And then down below, we've also taken some of the pictures that you saw on the Facebook page because it's got one of our Rotarians and it's got the stickers that Richard and Brenda DeVito put together for all those boxes. We've also been working with our community, and this is probably going to be the biggest piece. One of our RILA award recipients, Theo Liu, reached out and said, I want to be involved with this as well. And I've already motivated or gotten the cross-country team at Weston High School to do a fundraising run. And they've raised $735 and they had a student designed t-shirt, which we're now going to actually sell at the our fishing derby, which is this Sunday. So if you have a penchant for, actually, if you have a kid who likes to fish, you can come on out. Otherwise, you can just come and eat donuts. So the next thing that we want to do is figure out exactly how we can make it really easy for people to give. I'm going to stop sharing that screen. And so Richard DeVito is very involved with the District 79 Charitable Fund and has figured out how we can have a relatively easy mechanism to route contributions there that will then be pulled out in order to pay for the medical supplies that we're focusing on. Again, the big thing here is tax deductible, which is great because our club doesn't have a dedicated foundation. We also have an online payment capability on our website. I should have showed you that, which makes it easy to make a contribution online, which we'll then send over to the district charity fund, and we'll be able to generate tax exempt receipts, right? Recognition for that as well. Additionally, our club also voted to invest $2,500 in club funds on a matching basis. And we keep dancing around exactly what the match is going to be, but we are certainly going to experience what you all are as well, which is our funds are going to do some matching and our Rotarians are going to give some of their own money. And hopefully we're going to generate another $25,000 that will fully fund the second shipment. And the way we think we're going to do that is by ratcheting up our public image work thoroughly. So we're going to launch a refined communications campaign with email and social media. And I would predict that each of you is going to receive an email from us so that you can share it with all of your friends and make it easy for them to donate as well. Our goal here is to generate as much support as we can. And if our mechanism makes it easier for your friends and Rotarians to do so, jump on. If you want help doing any of the stuff that we're doing, please reach out to me and I'll help you recreate anything that we've got here that I possibly can. We'll also go, so the other piece is that we'll go out through social media, right? And the interesting thing here is that we put out some posts, a bunch of posts through Facebook and a few through LinkedIn. And the LinkedIn post that we put out inspired somebody to engage and respond and say, I'm very interested in this. And they may get involved as a prospective Rotarian, but they're also looking at getting their company to make a $10,000 contribution towards this second shipment. So in the end, Our goal is to make this as easy as possible for anyone we can reach to make a small or large contribution to relieve some of the suffering of the people in Ukraine, including those Rotarians, including the ones we met. So on the fundraising side, our goal is $25,000, and we're going to work until we get there and beyond. Thanks.
John, thank you for that. What a great story of execution. So we've heard the why and we've heard the how, and I'm going to turn it back over to Cliff, and we'll hear the what next. So Cliff.
Thank you, Elliot, and I really appreciated hearing the different ways that the clubs have found that they can help out. Now, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands, why is District 7910 so is the Ukraine effort so important? And I don't know that it's really been brought out, but District 7910 is one of 6 districts in the world that helped start the first club on the Rotary Club of Kyiv in Ukraine. And so we have a really a bond with Ukraine in that respect. And I know Roy has been there a number of times in that regard. Now, I do want to get into what we would like to do. We have done that first disaster relief grant. And once that finishes, we'll be looking to do something else. But I do want to bring in Katja and the others to go over what do we want to do now. So you get the floor right now, Katja.
Thank you, Cliff, and welcome everyone. And thank you for coming on over. It's awesome to see everyone. So you guys have heard what we've done, right? I came in front of everyone, Elliot, Cliff, Diana, Roy, Victor, and I said, guys, we've got to do something. And at that point, Diana did one of her absolutely famous at this point eyebrow raises at me and said, okay, let's get it done. And so now we've gotten this grant and we have the first shipment of medicine. And so it was a challenge, but it's amazing as to what we were able to accomplish, right? We now have the logistical, and what you see on the screen there is some of the things that we were able to send out. We were able to send out IV fluids, trauma kits, tourniquets, and medicines. And so the way that I envision it now is that we can help in 2 different ways. And here's the reason why. We came in front of the Ukrainian Rotarians and they said to us, these are the things that we need most. And all of a sudden, Roy and I got completely flustered with emails of everything that they needed, right? From tanks to therapists. I mean, you name it, they asked for it. And so what we did was we sat down and we organized and we thought to ourselves, okay, what can we do? One is the medicine. So that's project number 1, right? I absolutely love it. And that's a wonderful way. And then I got this other idea. So I am from Sharon. And all of a sudden I saw that the Sharon Fire Department and the police department donated some of their equipment to the Ukraine efforts. And I thought to myself, okay, we can do that. That's a good way of helping, right? So we went to Ukraine and we got a list of everything that the firefighters need, whether they need it or not. And so this is what we'd like to focus on. We'd like to focus on helmets, suits, gloves, boots, bulletproof vests. That would be from the police department. Anything of those lines that the police or the fire department can donate to us. So the first project is the medicine. The medicine, we have the logistical setup, right? So all we need to focus on in the medicine is going to be your funding. We have where to buy, we have how to ship. The only thing that's missing is the money, which is usually the case, right? So if you're good at funding, we would love your help on that one. If you're good at fundraising, we would love your help on that one. The second project is the firefighting equipment. We need a group of volunteers to get together and basically talk to the fire departments. We have 340 towns in the state of Massachusetts, and I now personally have phone numbers to all of them, to the police department and to the fire department. And I don't have a problem dialing 340 times 2. But I figured it would be a lot easier if I had a little bit of help. So those are my 2 visions that I think that are actionable items that we can work on, and that we can actually accomplish, and what Ukraine has actually asked for. Because we can all do so many things, but that doesn't always mean necessarily that that's what they need, right? These items, we know that this is what they need because this is exactly what they told us, and we can get it. Cliff, what am I missing?
Well, I think the only thing that we're really missing is getting the people that are on this call to, step up and help you, help Elliot, help Roy, help all of us get the rest of the work done that we need to. And with that said, Victor, you have.
Katja, you did
Yes, sir.
mention that you've got the shipping logistics all set up.
Oh, that was part of I got it covered sentence. I figured I didn't want to waste everyone's time. Yes, the logistical part of it is all set up and ready to go. We just need to get the items.
So with that, Elliot's going to be creating 2 breakout rooms that are going to be run for about 20 minutes. The first one is for medical supplies and how you can potentially help fundraising and things like that to help with getting the money for the medical supplies. The other breakout session is for the first responder equipment, which Katja just talked about, which is helping call the fire department, call the police department, because of course, even though they're fighting fires, they still need tactical vests, which is why they need to go to the police departments a lot of times. We don't have that around here. So if Elliot could bring up those 2 choices and 20 minutes, talk, go over it and let's brainstorm and see what we can do. Okay, I think we should have everybody back at this point.
One question for you. Did anyone who was in the medical group take a screenshot of the group that was there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's, with medical group talking first, do we have somebody in the medical group that would like to go over and talk about what your ideas were, what can be done?
I will do that. I will start and I will ask people that were on the medical group to pitch in if I miss something. So the main message was that there are so many options right now to donate, right, to help, and people really want to know why they should do this through Rotary, through the foundation, or through the charity fund of our District 7910. And one of the remarks was that it will be very helpful to have a press release, a template, a PR piece, whatever you want to call it. Why is important Rotary to be the recipient, either through the charity fund of our district or donating to the Rotary Foundation, to the Disaster Release Fund. Also, another comment was that there are so many clubs that are having their community campaigns. They are doing their local efforts, having fundraisers in their local communities. And all that, again, all that money or goods that they are gonna get from the community campaign, where they're gonna go. Are they going through our district, or what they're gonna do with that? So again, to all of you, we're gonna send you, and I hope that the other group, the firefighters equipment, you all put your contact info in the chat so we can send you an information after tonight's meeting. Also, I really want to pat the back of Western Wayland Club, and there are quite a few people here tonight. That if you actually, they already have it on their website, what it is needed for Ukraine on the medication supplies, firefighters equipment, and I'm pretty sure that John Marcioni will help us embed this into the press release that we will send to all our members in District 7, 9, 10. That's all from me. If anybody from the group, from the medical supplies group, want to add something, please feel free to do.
Anybody else have anything to add about medical supplies? I haven't seen anybody, so
Yeah.
sounds like they, oh,
No,
John, go
actually,
ahead.
I have a question.
Sure.
So it seems like there's a very good mechanism that's already in place, and I put this in the chat, but it's not clear to me if actually people here are needed to help box those supplies and label them, and I'd be happy to help if you know there's physical work that needs to be done. The other thing that's not really clear to me is I understand that there's money being collected for the district, but it sounds like there's certain clubs that already have this mechanism in place for gathering the medical supplies and sending them. So how do we distinguish between giving the money to a club that is already working on that versus, you know, to the district, which is going to end on April 30th?
So yep.
Yeah, go
And
ahead,
that's for
Katya.
me.
Go ahead, Katya. Go ahead.
So the April 30th deadline is for Rotary International. Rotary
Okay.
International Disaster Relief Fund is going to end on April 30th, whatever funds are going in. Our district charity basically fund is focused on doing additional medical shipments. Now,
Okay.
I have an extensive list from atropine to tourniquets of what is, and azithromycin. I never thought I'd sit there and know what azithromycin is, but here I am, right? You know, of what is needed. But we have to do is we can't get everyone everything, right? And you have negotiating power when you're buying in bulk as well. So it's a matter of, we do have a list of everything that is requested, and we really have to come in and kind of do a triage situation of what is actually needed. So to tell you the truth, what we have been doing is we have been calling basically our network, because I am originally from St. Petersburg, Russia. My husband is from Ukraine. Half of our friends are from Ukraine, have family in Ukraine. We have been calling doctors in various hospitals in the different areas, whether they're under attack or not, clinics, and asking them, what do you guys most need? And everyone says tourniquets, 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 trauma kits. You know, those are what is needed. Now, tourniquets are best to buy in the United States. There's a company called NAR, and you can actually negotiate with them. We negotiated the price down from $29 per tourniquet down to $22. So, and if we have a bigger shipment, we can keep negotiating. So
Yeah.
those are some of the things that we're looking at. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the
Thank you
other,
very much.
the other question that she brought up was, do you need any help packing the supplies when it comes time?
that's stage two. Let's not let's not put the the cart before the horse. We need funds first. I just put in the chat what we need, and I will read it. It is a short list. It is trauma kits. You actually saw that in the video. Trauma kits, tourniquets, heart medication, thyroid medication, and antibiotics.
Okay,
That's
Also,
yeah.
okay, and
yeah, Cliff,
John,
go ahead.
sorry, John had another question. John had a question. He had his hand raised, so let's let John get in.
Okay.
You're muted, John.
I hate that. The other thing that came up in our room was the number of different ways that clubs, specifically Natick, is going to get in front of people face to face at events that they're doing and make this the ask with everybody that they're talking to. And that brings back to the idea that we're not going to get donations and the funding that we need if we're not willing to ask and invite people over and over and over again through every opportunity, channel, day of the week, time, all of that. We've got to be willing to invite people to support and give them the easiest way possible to do so.
And that's
Keep on
definitely
asking.
right. If you don't ask, you won't get it.
Thank you.
Roy, did you have something before we go on
Yes.
to the firefighter response?
Yes. Let me just put this in context. As of this afternoon, we've raised almost $10 million. And all that $10 million has got to go out the window by June 30th, maybe a little bit further. The Rotary Foundation may be extending the ability for disaster grants to go beyond June 30th. In this particular instance, what a lot of us are familiar with is district grants and global grants. I just want to clarify for you, disaster grants are not the same animal, period. If you just pick up your hand and you raise your hand and say, look, I need $25,000, you don't have to put a nickel in. Just make sure that you're doing it for something that's an emergency need. Second, when you do a disaster grant, once it's completed, you could do another one. So in other words, as soon as those goods are delivered that you saw that were shipped on April 9th, 5 minutes after it gets delivered in Ukraine, we're going to apply for another $25,000. But the point I'm trying to make is this: next time we get a disaster grant for $25,000, doesn't mean we have to just buy $25,000 worth of stuff. Do you know what I mean? If we add other donations from other clubs and from the district foundation, district territory fund, we can amplify it beyond what the disaster grants are providing us. So that's a very important element in terms of being able to raise funds. Second is, tomorrow morning, we're having a meeting of the co-sponsor clubs. We've been doing it every couple of weeks. And one of the things that you heard Diana say a minute ago is disaster grants are now available to any country, even if you're not in the middle of a disaster. And because you can keep repeating them, we think we might be able to engage other districts to request district grants to help us with the road we already paved in terms of the medical supplies.
Okay. And I just want to make sure everybody on the call understands, a disaster grant can only be done basically by the district
Yes.
one at a time. It is not
Yes.
the individual club. So,
Yes.
if you
Yes.
want helping out, you want to talk to, this group here to get it done through the district, because only one can be done at a time.
Can I just say it very, to get it in a simpler way? Because people are kind of confused when you say, okay, donate to the foundation. So you have an option. One option is go to Rotary.org, click the donate button, and donate whatever you want to donate. As a person, as a Rotarian, or as a non-Rotarian, you do have this option too, or as a club, and donate to the disaster fund. That money, between now and April 30th, all that money will go to Ukraine. If we have enough districts in the world that will apply for that money. The other option number 2, if you raise money, you can send, and again, because we do have all your information from, tonight's participants, we'll send that information to you. You have the option to send your check, and unfortunately, I know it's Yeah, it's a dinosaur age check, but that's what it is. So you can send your check to an address in the memo line saying for Ukraine through our District 7910 charity fund. And that money will go towards medical supplies. And there is no deadline. It is not April 30th or May 30th or I don't know, whatever. So it's your choice.
We
Right.
as Rotarians are trying to go above and beyond, I think is what Diana is saying. And I think Richard has a question.
Yes.
Rich
Go ahead,
DeVito.
Rich will be the last question before we get to the response team breakout. Go
Rich
ahead.
DeVito, before you go, I really have to say huge thank you to you and Brenda for the labels that we used to send our shipment for $25,000 to Ukraine. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Richard.
Happy to help anytime. Really, it was sort of a bifurcated comment here. The first one was that what we've done here at Western Wayland is we've made the conscious decision that we want to continue to focus on medical supplies, which is why, as a club, we're driving all of our donations towards that cause. And we're simply using the Rotary District 7910 Charity Fund as a way to take tax-deductible donations from individuals, okay? We have corporate sponsorship and so forth, which is going to come in that doesn't get the benefit of that tax-deductible donation status. That's issue one, or comment one. Comment two, which Katja and I have been talking about ad nauseum, really is about, now that we're going to do this a second, third, fourth, fifth time, how do we work on operational efficiency? How do we work on pricing efficiency? What do we do to be able to generate and purchase as many supplies as we can with the money that we generate? And so to that end, we've been noodling things like buying them out of Canada, buying them out of Western Europe, and drop shipping them from there and so forth. So we're always happy to have discussions with people who are much more advanced in terms of medical supply distribution and get your input, contacts, and so forth, so we can work on the operational efficiency of what we're trying to do. So I'll leave it with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. And again, don't forget what I said. That's the magic of Rotary. 1.2 million people around the world. We have boots on the ground. We have people in Poland. We have people in Moldova. We have people in Romania. And you all know that medication there is cheaper. So we are getting to our Rotarians there, and pharmacies there, and pharmaceutical companies there. So again, this is your choice. Rotary Foundation, donate button, disaster fund, or District 7910 charity fund. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Diana. Now, does anybody want to give a sort of a recap for the first responder equipment? And Katja.
I will do that. And if anyone from our group wants to jump in after I'm done, you guys are more than welcome to. So we have a game plan. We have the volunteers. 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, we're going to subdivide and conquer. We have people that know the legalities and the potential setbacks that we might have when requesting the equipment. We have discussed that in detail. I will not go over it here with you guys, but no, we have a great team together. And 7 a.m. tomorrow, guess what this mom is doing? I am working, and we'll get it done. What did I miss, guys?
Done. Done. I think you summarized it really well.
There is one thing that we found out is that Rotary clubs, local Rotary clubs, communications to their local fire departments and police departments need some general guidelines. So that's what we're going to provide, not only the equipment, but also the legal. The other element was an interesting discovery was that the firefighters, anybody that's got contacts with firefighter unions or police unions is going to be our new best friend.
Oh, sounds good. Elliot, do you want to pop up the last slide? I appreciate everybody's time here tonight. I hope that we have a lot more engaged people and that are looking to help out and raise funds for Ukraine, get first responder equipment to Ukraine and everything else. You're the end person, Elliot.
Well, thank you, Cliff. Well, we don't have a closing slide. I'll just echo what Cliff said and thank everybody for joining us tonight. A lot of people are working very hard to provide this support. We wanted you to all know what we're doing so that we can carry it on. And well, just thank everyone for coming and thank everyone who's been working so hard to help our friends in Ukraine. So with that, we'll follow up. You'll hear from us with future plans and thank you. So have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Actually,
you.
we
Have a good
do
night.
have a May 3rd, 6:30 meeting to reconvene. Do we want to announce that or?
Well, you just did. So yes, so we are planning a follow-up meeting. We had a date in mind of May 3rd. We'll vet that and make sure that it works and publish it and get it on the calendar.
Okay.
But this is not the end. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. And if anybody wants to stay right after we just close the meeting, you're more than welcome to stay.
If I could suggest, Elliot, if you want to make a copy of the chat.
The transcript.
Yeah, I'll save the transcript.
You have the transcript? Okay, from the chat
Yeah.
box?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. No, from the closed captioning. I have the transcript.
Okay, there are some things that went into the chat box that might be helpful.
I've got the chat saved